never stop reading the Bible. Welcome. Today, we are jumping into a really powerful story. It's all about warning, failure, and in the end, hope. And we're finding it all in 3 key chapters of Ezekiel.
Right, so we're looking at chapters 33 to 35, and this is a wild ride, you know? It takes us from this really stark warning from God to an incredible promise of hope, and then finally to this ultimate moment of justice. So let's start at the beginning with that warning. Okay, Section 1, the Watchman's Mission. So what in the world is a watchman? Well, think of it like this. You've got someone standing on a tower, and their one job is to spot danger way off in the distance and sound the alarm. That's Ezekiel's role here. His job isn't to make the message sound nicer or to debate it. It's just to deliver the warning, loud and clear. And this whole thing sets up a really fascinating chain of responsibility. You see, it starts with God's message. Then the watchman, Ezekiel, he does his job and sounds the alarm. But right at that moment, the accountability shifts. The responsibility to actually listen and do something about it, that falls squarely on the people. But, and this is a big but, there was a huge problem, a massive disconnect. See, the people heard the prophecy, but they just didn't act on it. And that failure to respond, that's what leads us directly into the next part of this story, a hard look at the leaders who were supposed to be guiding them. And that brings us right to chapter 34, where the spotlight moves from the people's inaction to the absolute corruption of their leaders, these so-called false shepherds of Israel. I mean, the text really lays out this devastating case against these leaders. A shepherd is supposed to protect the flock, right? Guide them. But these guys, they were doing the exact opposite. They were just enriching themselves, totally ignoring the weak and the vulnerable, and in the end, scattering the very people they were supposed to be protecting. And this slide just lays it out so clearly, side by side. On one side, you've got leadership that exploits, that scatters, that only serves itself. And on the other, the promise of a true shepherd, one who will rescue, gather, and go looking for the lost. This contrast, it just perfectly sets the stage for God's solution. So, after laying out the problem of this corrupt leadership, the prophecy makes this amazing pivot to the ultimate solution. God himself is going to step in and be the shepherd for his people. And you've got to pay attention to the language here. This isn't some vague, oh, maybe this will happen kind of promise. No, it's a series of powerful I will statements. That means this is a direct personal intervention. God isn't just handing off the job to someone else. He is personally promising to search, to rescue, to restore, and to set up a new righteous leader. I mean, after the total failure of the human shepherds, this is just a massive message of hope. Okay, so after tackling the internal problems in Israel, the prophecy kind of zooms out to deal with an external threat. And chapter 35 delivers this really specific and very severe judgment against their neighbor, the nation of Edom. And that makes you ask the obvious question, right? Out of all the nations around them, why single out Edom for such a strong judgment? Well, the text gives us some very specific reasons. You see, this judgment was tied to a really old, really deep-seated hostility. This wasn't just some political squabble. It was pure malice. And what made it so much worse was that when Israel was at its weakest, Edom saw it as their big chance to swoop in and grab their land. And this quote, wow, it is so revealing. In their total arrogance, Edom made a huge miscalculation. They looked at the land and thought, hey, it's empty, it's ours for the taking, but they forgot one critical fact. The Lord was there. They weren't just moving against a weakened nation. They were trespassing on God's own territory. And because of that, the prophecy says their punishment is going to fit the crime. So the consequence for this, it is final and absolute. The judgment against Edom isn't just a little slap on the wrist. It's complete desolation, a direct and severe response to that deep-seated hatred they held. So in just 3 chapters, we've gone on this incredible journey. We started with a call for personal responsibility, moved through the failure of corrupt leaders, and landed on this amazing promise of a divine rescue and absolute justice. It's a whole story about accountability, redemption, and God's sovereignty. And you know, it really leaves you with a question for your own life. Are you listening to the warnings you hear? And what does it really mean to be a true shepherd versus a false one? That's all for this explainer. This was produced by the Center Studio. Thanks for joining us.